Well, that was a rather miserable weekend. It rained pretty much solidly down here in the valley, but in spite of that, as you can see, we still do have virtually wall-to-wall snow cover everywhere on the valley bottom. We have lost a little bit of snow on the lower south-facing slopes, but other than that, it is still pretty much wall-to-wall coverage. In theory, it was snowing, at least initially, up at mid-mountain, which is where all the skiing is. But eventually, the rain-snow limit is supposed to have risen up to around about 2,400 metres, which is pretty much above all the skiing here at Brabant right now. And right now, it is super warm. So let's go up and see what the damage is. So we've definitely seen a net gain of snow up on the mountain. Up here around 2,300 metres, there's probably 20 centimetres of snow on top of the old base, but it is very heavy. It's not enjoyable snow to ski at all. But again, it's a net gain to the base, so it's definitely a good news, even though right now it's not particularly enjoyable to ski on. On piste, probably conditions have actually improved throughout with the rain. It's a lot less icy than it was last week, and the fresh snow which has now been groomed into the top, which is soft, is pretty pleasant to ski on. So actually, this storm cycle hasn't turned out too bad, at least right here in Fougères. They have now opened the Chevan chairlift, so this is a slight increase in the amount of skiable terrain here at Fougères since last week. Only very slight. You can still access most of these pistes coming across from the index last week, but still, it's a step in the right direction. The Floria drag lift isn't yet open, so if you do want to go out really far left, you're still going to need to bring your skins or to be prepared to boot back up the drag toe up track, so yeah. We're not yet at full capacity here at Fougères, but we're inching in the right direction. There are still a lot of rocks poking through on the groomed line everywhere in resort, but particularly here on the blue Chevan piste and the neighbouring red Stad piste. So yeah. In spite of the huge snowfalls pre-season, it's still not enough to completely cover everything, so you do still need to be wary. And it's perhaps not the time to be using your brand new piste skis right now either, because yeah, these are going to catch a lot of people out. It is very warm up at mid-elevations today, much warmer than it is down in the valley in the shade. Indeed, I feel like I'm overdressed for the occasion, and I'm wearing shorts. Yes, that's right, it's mid-December and I'm skiing in shorts. Something that's normally reserved to until February when the sun is much stronger, so yeah, that tells you just how warm it is today. And tomorrow it's going to be even warmer, unfortunately. But in spite of that, the snow is holding up pretty damn well. Up here at about 1,800 metres, we seem to have both lost and gained snow in equal measure, so the base depth is pretty much exactly as it was before. Sure, lower down on the lower slopes in Les Ouches and Saint-Gervais, for example, they're going to have suffered, but they're not open yet anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Not surprisingly, there's been a lot of avalanche activity with this wet, heavy snowfall, and while this isn't going to be enough to bury you, it is enough to potentially push you over a cliff or pin you up against a tree or rock, so it's still definitely worth bearing in mind. Yes, all these slopes are controlled, so these have probably been triggered by the snow cannons and remote destinations, but if you're in the backcountry, you are the trigger, you are the destination, so yeah, definitely bear in mind that this wet, heavy snowpack is sliding very easily. Of course, by the time you see this video, we're going to have had a week of warm weather consolidation, so snowpack will have actually stabilised quite a lot, but just bear that in mind for the next time we get wet, heavy snowfall. It's significantly warmer up here at the Tour, around about 1,500 metres, than it is down in Les Ouches at around 950 metres. At this time of year, both Les Ouches and the Bosson get virtually no sun. Indeed, some parts won't see the sun for around 2.5 months, whereas up here in the Tour, you get all the sun going. So even though we're at higher elevation here, it is much warmer. Plus, there's the effect of the temperature inversion, which we're nearly always above up here in the Tour. But to show you just how warm the air mass is right now, as I was driving through Les Ouches earlier, it was around about 0, so only just freezing. Whereas at this time of year, underneath the inversion, we'd normally expect it to be around -8, if not colder. So 0 degrees is actually really warm for the time of year. Whereas here on the Tour, it's probably 5 or 6 degrees. The slope's been groomed here at the Tour, virtually top to bottom now for probably a couple of weeks, despite the fact that the ski area is not open until this coming weekend. That's because I'd like to encourage everyone to go skinning up here in relative safety and staying out of the way of the operations at Mt Blanc and Fougères and wherever else happens to be opening early. Plus, with the Tour having the highest base elevation of any ski area in the Chamonix or Rewired Mt Blanc areas, it's also the most logical place to go for early season skin and get some uphill miles in your legs. So yeah, probably get hundreds of people a day skiing up here at the Tour, despite the fact the ski area is not open. While they probably haven't been grooming every slope every day, they have been keeping on top of things pretty well. So despite the fact that the snow's been going for a lot of freeze-thaw cycles recently, it's still in really nice condition for carving, even on your skinny, lightweight touring skis. Hello. One of the things which is probably unique about Chamonix amongst ski areas is that even when there's the option of going skiing with the lifts, just the sheer number of people who still choose to go skinning, go touring. Yeah, sure, people go touring everywhere around the world, but nowhere quite like Chamonix. Perhaps that tells you something about the state of the lift infrastructure here, or maybe it just tells you something about the kind of people who come skiing in Chamonix. Because even when the lifts are running here on the Tour, you'll still see hundreds of people every day skinning up at Mt Blanc above the piece there to reach the old top station, or up onto the Glacier de l'Argentière, or at Brevent Fougères, skinning and boot packing up some of the couloirs above the lifts there, even skinning up the valley in the Bouet at the Val de Barade. So people really love their ski touring here. It's all about earning those turns. A huge thank you to those of you who've contributed to my Buy Me a Coffee page this week. It really is a massive help towards keeping the channel going. No, it isn't people just giving me money to go skiing, go on a jolly, have fun and play in the snow. You're enabling me to dedicate more time to making these videos, time that I'd otherwise have to spend trying to have a real job. So yeah, it really does make a difference. But my content will always remain free and available to everybody. I'll never hide anything behind the paywall through memberships or Patreon, etc. Everything I produce will always be here, free and available on YouTube for you all to watch and enjoy. From this weekend, all main ski areas in the Chamonix Valley should be open full-time, and most, if not all, ski areas in Rewired Mt Blanc should also be open full-time. Although I think maybe Combloux and Laguita might not be open full-time until the 20th. It'll also be touch and go whether Les Ouches manage to stay open throughout the week or not, but certainly they'll be opening again at the weekend. As for the beginner piece down the valley bottom, La Valmaine up here at the Tour is looking in excellent condition. They are planning to be open full-time from this weekend. The lower piece down at Balcon de Savoy and Planage, for example, they're not set to open until the following weekend. Well, there is still plenty of snow there for sledging if you are staying in town. Over in Italy, Courmayeur should also be open full-time from this weekend, and the same goes for Verbier. They opened full-time from last weekend, and most of their Four Valley link-ups should also be open now as well. So, while not all runs, not all pistes can actually be open, we have lost quite a lot of snow low down. All areas are pretty much now open in the Chamonix Lift Pass area. I believe the gondola down onto the Mer de Glace from Montenver is also set to open from this weekend, although the ice caves themselves are not due to open until the following weekend. And of course, the Guy de Midi isn't open yet either, so you can't yet ski the Vallée Blanche. As for the snow conditions up here at the Tour, the on-piste conditions are absolutely lovely, especially through the afternoon. Expect it to be a bit icy, a bit firm first thing in the morning, and it's starting to crisp up a little bit now as we lost the sun. But throughout the bulk of the day, the on-piste conditions are great up here at the moment. Off-piste, it's basically a no-go. It's all either wind crust or sun crust. If you're really lucky, it's both. So yeah, it's really not worth venturing into the off-piste at the moment, but there's some lovely on-piste carving conditions to be had. I expect at Grand Montet it's going to be getting pretty icy in a few places, even on-piste. They don't get much sun there, so it never really softens up, and as it hasn't snowed now for a while, it's going to be scraped down to the base. So yeah, probably not great for carving at Grand Montet at the moment. At Brevant and Fougères, I expect, well, as Fougères has been open throughout the week, some high traffic areas are going to be getting scraped pretty thin, but on the whole, the on-piste conditions there are still pretty good. Again, similar to here, being a south-facing resort, it's going to soften up throughout the day, so certainly by late morning through to mid-afternoon is when you likely expect to see the best conditions there. Brevant, of course, hasn't been skied yet, so at least initially the conditions there could well be better than they are at Fougères. In La Zouche, there's still plenty of snow up at the top, but it's starting to get a little bit thin and ropey even by the time you're halfway down. Certainly at the bottom of the Kandahar piste, as you can see, the snow's basically all gone. It will still be possible, I think, to ski all the way down to the base at Prarion, because they've groomed the base there, so that helps the snow last. But it may well officially be closed, but skiable. As for the road situation, in theory, the main road in and out of the Chamonix Valley is set to finally be opening today. But I will admit, as I was driving up there this morning, I could still see people hanging around on ropes on the cliff face, actually doing work, not just inspecting the clipboards. So we shall see by the time I drive back down if it's actually reopened or not. But assuming it has reopened, then that also means that, again, in theory, the Mont Blanc tunnel will be reopening this weekend, which will be great news, because that'll mean we'll be able to head across to Courmayeur for lovely Italian pizza and coffee. So yeah, fingers crossed it is finally sorted in that direction. But we have now had an incident on the road leading Chamonix in the other direction, the main road into Switzerland over the Col de Montet and via the Col de la Forclaz. That has also had a rockfall in the last day or so, so that is now also closed. So you can't catch a break when you're living up in the mountains. You're very much at the mercy of Mother Nature. There's still time to take advantage of my 20% discount with Outdoor Master up until the end of December, so now might be a great time to treat yourself to some new goggles or a helmet, or perhaps a stand-up paddleboard. Why not, ahead of Christmas? You'll find the link and the discount codes down in the description. And if you're planning to come out to this part of the Alps at all this season and need to sort out your own airport transfers, then I highly recommend booking with Mountain Drop-Offs. It can be all too tempting to book with one of the budget transfer companies like Alpibus, EasyBus, whatever they call themselves these days, or Swiss Tours, etc. But when they let you down, and they will, you have to pay twice. And they're going to somebody like Mountain Drop-Offs to have them help you out anyway, so you're much better off just booking with a good company in the first place. They are my past employers, so I can absolutely vouch for their reliability and their good quality of service. And if you are booking with them, even if you booked with them before, please remember to try and use my link down in the description or the QR code on the screen here. I will receive a very small commission, so it's another way that you can help the channel. But that is not why I'm telling you to book Mountain Drop-Offs. They genuinely are the best and most reliable in the valley. I nearly forgot to give you the weather outlook for the coming week, because basically nothing's changed. We're still stuck under a boring, warm high pressure. And unfortunately, there is no snow in the forecast in at least the next 6 to 8 days, potentially longer. So all in all, there's not really a huge amount to talk about. On the whole, freezing levels are coming down ever so slightly, day on day, but it is still very, very warm. We are now starting to see some signals of a return to something slightly more seasonal in the week just before Christmas, but that's still a long way off yet. A lot can change, so definitely don't count your chickens just yet, unfortunately. So that's it. Next time you see me, we would have had our first full week of opening of the season. So this is it. The ski season's properly here now, even if the weather doesn't necessarily agree. But we've still got plenty of snow. We've got pretty much full coverage everywhere still, even if the quality isn't great. We've got no shortage of quantity in this part of the Alps, so luckily, even if we don't get any more snow to build up to Christmas, which I certainly hope we will do, there will still be plenty of snow to play on and play in at Christmas, so yeah, it's definitely not panic stations just yet. As always, if you are out here in the mountains, stay safe, have fun, and I'll see you next week.